We're seeing more and more disasters, both natural and man-made, and it seems like we have dark days coming. So, certain supplies we need to stockpile, they will save your life. And that's what this video is devoted to, saving your life. Be sure to go through all 5 of these items because the last one is one people don't think of and will certainly save your life. The first item is food. When storing and stockpile food, long-term is key. It's all about longevity. The best ones, the ones that most people stockpile, are rice and beans and canned food. And between those 3 foods, they have all the essential proteins and fats you need to survive. Fantastic. Now, a lot of people like buying freeze-dried food. We do too. We get ours from American Reserves. Fantastic stuff. But typically, it's a little bit more expensive. You can't go wrong with rice, beans, and canned foods. Simply put, it's inexpensive, lasts for decades, and stores great. It can't be beat. On top of food, you may want to consider stockpiling spices too. They are your friend. Sometimes you need not just a meal, but a warm, tasty meal. It's something about returning back to normalcy, relaxing, and it does very well for that. In addition, vitamins are essential. Essential means you have to take them in by diet. Our body can't make them. We deplete vitamins, we deplete minerals, so we have to take them in through our food and replenish them. Reason being is we have to have those vitamins and minerals to be able to carry out metabolic processes. It makes it so we can survive, even thrive. So make sure you supplement your food with lots of vitamins and minerals. In fact, I'm going to link a video at the end of this to show you what I stockpile in those areas. Next, it almost goes without being said, but we have to say it, water. It is so essential, only a few days without water, you're in trouble. And we're talking about having access to clean, potable drinking water is a top priority. As government says, everybody says 1 gallon per person per day. And I'll tell you, where we live in the middle of nowhere in Michigan, we've gone weeks without water. So we have water stockpiled, and I'm telling you, 1 gallon per person per day, that's bare minimum. I recommend at least 2 gallons per person per day. But it's not just a matter of stockpiling. Having your water replenished, be able to bring it in other ways is important. Like, for example, rainwater catchment. Maybe you have a creek nearby, maybe you have a well, and even having a water filter of some sort to be able to, filter out all the chemicals and bacterial agents that might be in there is vital. Because here's the thing, if you don't have the clean drinking water, it's dirty because it's contaminated, may cost you your life. And also along with the water, you have to have electrolytes, which is just salt. It must be replenished. Simply a pinch of salt every time you have some water will do it. And without it, you won't retain your water. Have you ever had that before? Where you're so thirsty, you drink, then you go to the bathroom, go pee, and then you're thirsty again. What's going on? It's electrolytes. You have to have electrolytes in your bloodstream, so continuously replenish that by putting a little bit of salt in your water every single time. Now, speaking of medical stuff, medical supplies is next. And there are so many things we could list. Basic bandages, trauma kits, EMT gear, surgical supplies, dental supplies, not to mention over-the-counter medications, prescription glasses. And with glasses, every time I get a new pair, every year or so, I take my old pair and put them away. Maybe put them in an emergency bag so that way I have those in case this pair that I'm wearing now gets destroyed. But even more, so important, prescription medications, not to mention antibiotics. Getting some of these ahead of time is essential. It's mandatory. It literally will save your life. So with that, if there's somebody in your home that needs special medication, prescription medication, or medical supplies, try to stock up on that way ahead of time. Now, when it comes to medical items, there's so many things that we could list. I'm going to put a link to our website, which I have a list for you. Or you can buy an entire booklet, mind you, that tells you, I try to be as exhaustive as possible to give you all the possible medical supplies you may want to stockpile. Next is a backup power source. No, this is not for Netflix or just powering even lights. Our modern times, we have to have electricity, even for the very least, electricity for heat. If your home is heated by like natural gas or propane, for example, you may still have the natural gas or propane, but you have to have electricity to run the furnace to blow that warm air throughout your house. It's needed. Not to mention a refrigerator or freezer. Be able to store a lot of the food in your freezer, absolutely necessary. Not to mention there's a lot of medical supplies that people need to have refrigerated. In fact, did you know third world countries have a lower life expectancy simply because of the lack of refrigeration? But honestly, powering a chest freezer is a piece of cake as long as you take action ahead of time. A lot of people use a gas or a propane generator. I have one. In fact, ours will power our entire home. They're quite inexpensive and they are powerful. The problem is, really 2 problems. They're very loud. It will often attract people to your house. Hey, you have power. Secondly, fuel. You can store fuel, sure, even a propane generator, but eventually, especially if we're talking about a long-term grid down situation, that fuel cannot be replenished. So another option, solar. You could start with a really small unit. It's extremely limited. Maybe you can use it for fans. A medium unit can actually power your furnace, well, at least for a limited time. Large systems can power your entire home. These are great because it literally uses sun for power and therefore can be replenished, and they're quiet as can be. Great. The cons are they definitely can get very expensive, and your power can be limited depending on how much sunlight you have. Still, my first choice is a solar generator. I have some that'll power my entire home, and they are fantastic. But the number one thing we need to look for that will definitely save your life is self-defense. Go ahead and stockpile your food, stockpile water, stockpile your medical supplies. Of course you should. But what happens when someone wants those items? Think about this. Historically speaking, the faster supplies become scarce, the more violent people become. Being able to defend yourself, your family, your loved ones, it's not a luxury. It's required. I mean, what's the point of stockpiling things if you have all that stuff disappear at the moment's notice? So first, you need to get in shape. Secondly, learn self-defense techniques, even with your bare hands, like Krav Maga, in my opinion, is the best. But of course, having a weapon. But don't think that a weapon sitting on your shelf is going to protect you. It won't. You need to train and drill and prepare. So there's 5 things, everybody. 5 things you need to look at and possibly stockpile, possibly get as much as you can, because your life does depend on it. I may have missed something. Put it in the comments below. What do you think? What would you add to this list? And as always, everybody, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.